Hi, I'm Thomas LeGree.
I'm Randall Harris
Of the Thomas and Randall Show. It's Sunday, November the 4th, 2 days before the 2018 elections, and we're here doing something a little bit different today. We've got some guests on our show, and this is the first time we ever had an Emmy Award-winning guest on our show, isn't it, Randall?
Well, we had a lot of people that wanted to be guests, but we were very selective.
We are, and actually the first time we've ever had a guest on the show. Dr. Phil Dustan, Emmy Award winner with Chasing Coral, and Anna Zimmerman from James Island, flood survivor and flood victim on James Island. It's ironic we're sitting here on the porch today. We plan to go to a spot on John's Island that floods pretty regularly when we've had flooding, and we've had a bunch of flooding in the last 4 years, 2015, 16, 17, and now 18. Ironic, like I say, we were going to go out and film in a flooded spot, and it started raining, so we had to come here on the porch to do our show today.
And by the way, if you look, this house is built the way a house should be built on John's Island. Built up, not on the slab, and not in a filled area.
How high are we off the ground, Dr. Dustan?
Right here is 21 feet above sea level.
21 feet above sea level.
So essentially the finished floor level, the VFE is 21 feet.
And that's important. Let's talk about, and we're going to let y'all talk and tell us some of the things we're worried about. And we wanted to do this before the election because even though most of the flooding, and I think your house is in the city of Charleston,
It is.
most of the flooding has happened in the city of Charleston, but we've had a bunch on John's Island. Morris Acres has got some new houses that are flooding, and we're going to continue to see flooding on John's Island if we continue the development patterns that the county is allowing to happen. So we wanted to talk about that now a little bit, and over the next year, between now and November 2019, we need to talk a lot about flooding in Charleston because we got a mayor's race coming up, several city council races coming up. Let's talk about flooding a little bit, and I'll give the floor to y'all and tell us about why y'all are so concerned about flooding and what steps y'all are taking.
Well, I think the first thing is that there are people now living in houses that were built below flood elevation. Those houses flood regularly. Anna's community that she lived in beforehand. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I bought a house in 2005, unknowingly to me that it had flooded 4 times before I purchased it, and as had almost every house on my street, it had flooded multiple times. None of us had any idea when we purchased our homes that that was the case. And after the past 3 years of flooding, many of us filed flood claims, and we started finding out that there were all kinds of problems. And the biggest problem was the city of Charleston allowed people to move into homes without certificates of occupancy, and also homes that were built 4 feet below required flood elevation.
So zoning played a part.
Zoning did play a part.
Now you say 4 feet. We're 21 feet here. What is the flood elevation in most of Charleston?
So it varies, and on James Island, the land where our houses were built is designated from FEMA back in 1977 at 8 and 12, which means that to build a house, it has to be 12 feet plus 1. So
Okay.
you'd have to be at 13 feet. And the house that I purchased is a little over 9.
Oh my God.
Yes,
That's
but on the deed, it said it was in an 8 and 12.
Well, Phil did on the comprehensive plan that Phil did, houses were supposed to not be built below.
Well, we did here on John's Island. One of my colleagues, Gordon Levine at the college, gave me a map that they just produced with LiDAR that showed the elevations. And what it showed was that John's Island is a series of dunes that are parallel to the sea. So the airport is on one dune, and then you go down in the middle of a swale, Fly Ground Road, and it comes up again to Maybank Highway. So the people that settled this island realized that there were high spots and low spots, and they built their houses and their roads on the high spots. Maybank Highway goes right down the axis of the dune, and in between you have this lowlands where it gets down to probably 8 feet or less. And the city people that were there, Josh Martin, his group from the city planning office said no houses, no developments below 15 feet elevation. Now this particular house that we're in right now is in a community of 21 houses on about 45 acres. Every one of those houses is built up. So this house, the land on this house that we're on now is 8.5 feet, and then we built up with piers. And we could have just gone 14 feet, but we went high enough so we were sure to be safe,
Sure.
and have enough room under the house to park the car.
But the federal regulations would be that you'd be at 14.
The 14.
And so that street that I live on, the entire neighborhood of Willow Walk, is actually illegal.
So what year was your house built?
It was built in 1987.
And so what was in place in 1987 that would have kept the city of Charleston obviously should have known better.
Absolutely, and they should have never let the houses be occupied. Actually, today, the houses shouldn't be occupied. In 1977, the city passed an ordinance that says that they have to be at base flood level +1. So they violated their own ordinance that they had in place, as well as federal and state building code laws.
Sounds to me like the city should buy the houses back
Yeah, yesterday.
and make it right.
Absolutely.
Well, Phil, you spoke of the John Zahn Growth Management Committee.
Right.
Give me some history on that. That goes back to 2007, correct?
Well, the growth management plan that we put together in 2000, but that was the second one. There's been a whole series of plans. I got a bunch of stats here, but there's the Mark Clark Impact Assessment Plan, all right, and that's somewhere around 2000. And then there's the Johns Island Plan, 1995 Land Use Update. And then here we got the Johns Island, this is draft of the Johns Island Growth Management Committee. This is the one I was on. This was in 2007, this was accepted by City Council.
And that was just a city committee at the time.
It was a
City of Charleston.
city-
But why wasn't it followed?
Well, that's the curious thing, because that was just after Katrina, remember? And what I was saying, I was pointing out, is we built these planned unit development HUDs, which were just coming into vogue at that time. We built those in these lowlands. When there was a hurricane, not if, but when, it would come in Bohicket Creek, and it would come in from Stone River, and let's let it out. And that's when the city said, you can't do this, because it's just not safe.
But they've done it anyway.
But they did it anyway. And when I asked them, I said, why did you do this when it was in the Johns Island Growth Management Plan? He said, well, it was never turned into code.
Well,
Well, they don't even follow code.
Thomas and I, we care about our community, and I don't think we're the most educated in transportation or flood, but a lot of this is common sense. And these are people that should have known better.
I've been dealing with moving water and taking water off of farmland. I used to farm some of this land right outside your yard here. And 30 years ago, I've spent 40-something years moving water in some of the neighborhoods that I see being built, especially here on Johns Island. They're going in, they're mucking out soil, putting 4 feet down, and then they're building it up 4 feet back to ground level, and an additional 4 feet, building slab houses on it. How stupid is that?
Well, here's the original thing.
It's cheap, that's correct.
It's cheap and it's profitable. We used to think
In
that
the
this
short
land,
term.
right? Well, we used to think this land could not be built on. And what happened is, as sea level receded, plants began to grow where there was fresh water. So imagine dunes and fresh water running off, and the plants begin to grow where there's fresh water, and they fill in, and they have really deep roots, deep soil. And I don't even think these deeper, what we call sponge forests, were ever farmed by anybody. They might have gone in and cut down some of the big trees.
They cut the cypress out when it was old road cypress. They cut the cypress out and left it. And some of it was rice fields, but most of it they left. It was never farmed.
Because there was so much organic. So now what they do is they scrape all that out, they fill it in with dirt that they got someplace else.
Dirt pit, which is another issue.
Right. So they go mine that dirt someplace else, and those people are having problems. And then
The next to them are having problems.
right. So then they build it. They put the house up. They build it up a little higher on land that's going to settle. So they have they put a slab foundation on it because it's cheap, but that cracks, and then water wicks in through the foundation. So the house goes to fall because the land's higher, it spills water onto the neighbors. So flooding has become epidemic, and it's become one of the number one issues around here.
Well, one thing I want to reiterate. I'm not telling people who to vote for, but there is an election that locally, as far as Johns Island and James Island, we can make a difference. Because there is one candidate that says that he will not allow fill in these areas that should not be filled.
It's not just Johns Island, James Island, it's District 8.
District 8.
District 8, Charleston County Council, which is Johns Island, parts of James Island, Wamalaw, Edisto, Ravenel, Hollywood, the whole entire southern end of the county. we've had a representative in office for 8 years, and this problem is just getting worse and worse and worse. And we mentioned the John Zion Growth Management Committee. There's a new John Zion Growth Management Committee. You've been to all the meetings. Randall, you've been to all the meetings.
No, the new John Zion Growth Management Committee is part.
I was going to say, I'm on it, and I think it's a joke.
All it does is it wastes time while the developers are going around doing as much damage as they can right now because they know that somewhere on the horizon this is going to be illegal. So what they're doing now is they're cutting and bucking and infilling as much as they possibly can. All you got to do is drive down the road and you're going to development after development after development.
Well, this is what happened with Anna's house. Is the developers are paid to develop. They develop. They're gone.
They're gone.
It's innocent victims like Anna here that are stuck with the problem and paying the price.
And we're informed. We are informed when we bought a house, we thought it was in not built at 9 feet because that's what the deed say. That's what it says. When you buy a house in Charleston, it really is wrong to assume that your house is built up to code.
Where was the twist? Why weren't there red flags about the elevation?
Oh, there were red flags all over the place about the elevator.
As far as when you went to buy the house, you checked the elevation?
Yes, because you get grandfathered in and
Right.
everybody's been paying the wrong flood insurance
I get it.
25 years.
Now I understand.
What happens now? You've had to move out of your house and move somewhere else.
I've abandoned my house, yes.
Well, what will you be able to do to that house?
Well, what I could do is what many of my neighbors have been doing is I could flip the house. I've been offered money to flip the house in Charleston with the housing market. You could certainly flip the house. You don't
Pass
have
the
to
buck to
flood.
somebody else.
You could. I have refused to do that, but on my street I have noticed that almost half of the houses are flipped like they're not.
Well, a big thing. Tell us about the letter y'all wrote for FEMA. That was a huge thing, wasn't it?
Yes, so I have tried, Bill has tried, many of us in this town have tried to talk to all of our elected officials, to go to city council, and I have to say, they
All
don't
on
listen.
deaf ears.
They do not listen, and so they do not want to listen, they do not want to learn, and my thought would be that when you would attend what your residents' concerns are, and these are children living in mold, that the first question that you would do is say, how do we help? Not fall on deaf ears. And
Yeah,
so,
like you say, the kids when they're old, the people that run away, when the next storm comes, those people's houses are flooded out, and those houses are full of mold.
they're full of mold, and we have elected officials that come to that street and make jokes about it.
I've heard Tecklenburg with my own ears say, "What are you worried about? You have flood insurance."
He said
But
that in
That's right. And if anybody's ever dealt with FEMA or tried to collect from flood, it's a mess.
It's an absolute
So,
mess. And
yeah,
in some
to me-
ways, there are people that I know that have flooded. They have flood insurance. They don't even file the claims because it is
It's
more
more,
of a headache.
more trouble than it's worth. And I myself,
It's not like this is a new thing. There's a picture in Posted Courier in the 80s of Joe Riley standing with hip waders
In front of my
in
house.
front of his house.
are you
I'm
serious?
absolutely serious.
How many people have bought houses in there since those were built? And
Hundreds.
continually, there's obviously
Hundreds.
people still buying houses that have flooded multiple times, and people moved from Ohio or New Jersey or wherever, and with no idea.
Our real estate agent told us that it has no flood history.
Can you go back and sue your realtor?
I'm not interested in suing people. What I want to do is have it fixed. I'm an immunologist. I want children to not live in mold. And so somebody has to take a lead and say, enough is enough. And so that's why I contacted the federal authorities, because locally we were getting
What
more.
does FEMA say?
FEMA will not cover building code violations.
So
So
how much?
houses are built below base flood elevation. It's a building code
Why?
violation. Why should people
Why
pay
should
for it?
people pay for that?
So when did you buy the house?
We bought in 2005.
And so, and I guess my question is, what type of an event is big enough to cause it to flood?
Well, that is the strange thing, in that the city put in drainage ditches, for lack of better words, that they thought they could cover up what had happened in this neighborhood, and apparently it did cover things up from 2004 until the last 3 years. But there's been so much development that's happened on James Island now that we have a rain event, and there's water up to the doorway.
Something similar to what's happening today.
July this year, we had water up to people's doors.
Well, there's also a first congressional district race. And I'm not sure how that race is going to go. I'm a little bit. I see polls that Randall and I ran a poll in the Thompson Randall show, and it's not going how I thought it was going to go. But is there anything that when we get a new congressperson, because we'll definitely have a new congressperson on Wednesday morning, is there anything that they can do to help y'all that as soon as they're elected, y'all can go to them and say, we got to do something?
Well, there's currently a federal fraud investigation that's going on at the national level, and I would
Of
say
the city of Charleston, or
yes,
City of Charleston.
city of
So,
Charleston.
so this is just, if you go back to the school system, back into the 60s when we segregation, right? City wouldn't deal with it, state wouldn't deal with it, county wouldn't deal with it, and then the feds. That's exactly what's going on.
That's
right
what
now.
has to happen.
The city won't deal with it, county won't deal with it, state won't deal with it.
kind of like an old western movie when the
Yeah.
local sheriff is corrupt, you got to bring in the U.S. Cavalry or the U.S. Marshals to solve the problem.
Exactly. So we have a few things that need to be done. And we met with one of our local legislators in the summer. We brought these issues to them. Okay, so these are 4 immediate actions. This is for the hurricane season. This is in August. Immediately protect the lives and property of Shoreham and East Side neighborhood residents. Get them out of danger. They're just in danger.
Their city does.
Second one is identify other communities that are in harm's way. Same sort of thing. Okay?
I've identified another neighborhood on Green Island that is also built under base flood elevation. Those people have no idea.
Then what we want to do is we do want to institute protective measures for the historic district, okay? And then the number one thing, once we get people safe, is to stop the destruction through immediate emergency stop work orders on all of the deforestation, all of the infilling that's going on right now. No mucking, no deforestation, no mucking, no infill. And even if it's permitted now, we have new information that says this stuff is dangerous.
And there are other places that don't allow infill.
No, and I just saw a new storage warehouse facility on Beesbury Road. With all the problems they have and all the issues we have as a result of Beesbury Road, the thought of building another storage warehouse, anything that creates that kind of runoff, that much asphalt, that much roof space, is unconscionable.
Well, you're doing 2 things. One is you're building more impervious surface. So normally a piece of land will keep most of the water that falls on it, but it'll run off. You know, a parking lot will generate 27,000 gallons with 1 inch of rain. A forest with the same 1 inch of rain will generate about 500 gallons. So there's a 3,600% difference. Number one. Number two, take out all that organic water. When you block the subsurface flow of water, it gets pushed somewhere else.
And all the trees.
That's right. And
Simple.
yeah, you think that the first duty of government is to protect the lives and property of the residents, right? But the first duty of this government seems to be to help the developers make more money.
I think the first duty of all the adults in the room is to protect the children and the older people.
To me, I can't imagine. I think if you run for a public office, you should run for the good of the community and not for your personal agenda. What we have, and all of these elected officials, they all are either in real estate or they're all dabbling in these commercial ventures that are profiting off of these.
Absolutely.
From our county council chairman to county council women and
Planning commission.
planning commission. Exactly.
Another case.
Board of Zoning Appeals.
Board of Zoning Appeals.
Well, your 4-point plan, we're going to have Wednesday morning, we're going to have 1 new council person in District 9. No matter who wins that, we're going to have 1 new council. No, 9. We'll have a new person.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
District 8. District 8, we're all hoping there's going to be a new person. Could possibly be a new person in District 5, I think it is. You're going to have a new United States Congressman. Are y'all ready to go to those people and say, and even though they're not in the city of Charleston, they don't represent the city of Charleston, and ask them to help push this through for the county areas? The throwing and mucking on Johns Island in the county areas is really concerning me as much as anything. Do y'all plan to go to the new council people and hand them this and say, this is what needs to be done?
We've had an open door to talk to anyone, any public official that has contacted me. I've had an open door to talk to them. I have so much information, and I have sought out Same thing. I saw out Peter McCoy. I saw out John Pettigrew. I tried to email Joe Ladder. I wrote Harold Jackson, Harry Griffin. I have sent all these people emails. I have tried to meet with them personally.
And this isn't, when it comes to politics, this issue isn't about party or race or gender. It's about people, and I want to give Wendell Gilliard props because he stepped up and he did take this seriously. And as far as I know, he's about the only one that's really listening to you
Absolutely.
guys.
Absolutely.
And so I want to give credit where credit is due because that, at the end of the day, is what these people are elected to do.
Yeah.
So when you get somebody that listens, it's like you're more surprised than because we've come to expect that it falls on deaf ears.
So not only does he listen, he wants legislation. He asks questions, and he asks us to help him and his people write legislation. What's wrong? What needs to be fixed? I mean, he's really interested because he knows that this is people. And it's not a matter of if it's going to flood, it's a matter of when. And if we had had a Hurricane Michael that came into here, Lord Almighty, it would have.
We saw what it did to Conway, the PD area, almost did to Georgetown, and just think what that would have done to Charleston.
Man, we had some close calls.
We have had some close calls.
And we are going to be so much worse off every single year that this is put off or not looked at.
Well, tell me something before we wrap it up. What's the best way that people are watching this at home can help? I know there's a website and a Facebook page. Everybody needs to be concerned about this because if it hadn't happened to you yet, it will sooner or later if you're in Charleston County. What's the website? The Fix Flooding First, is that the best way for people to go to and get involved, or what's the best way somebody can get involved and help?
There's Fix Flooding First, and that's to try to get some data on where it's flooded and to try to push local officials into using some of our tax money to fix it. There's also the Save River Road on change.org, the petition that now has about 3,500 people that is sort of started out against this development back behind us. It's probably reaches to any proposed development.
And not only are you, like I say, award-winning scientists that studied ecology all over the world, you're facing, you got re-involved in stuff on John's Island when there's a new neighborhood that's supposed to be going in right behind your house. It's going to flood you here at 21 feet.
Well, I was on the John's Island Growth Management Committee back in the early 2000s, and in the 1990s I was part of the Charleston Harbor Project. And we're going back to those studies and looking at we were interested in what developed land does to the marsh. Now we're interested in what developed land does to other developed land. No longer are we worried about the shrimp in the marsh, we're worried about our homes and our lives and our kids and our property. But the best way to do it is to vote for people that are going to do the right thing. But now there's a lot of people that are just talking. It's just
There's a lot of local chatter.
Randall is the only person that's really said, this is where the rubber meets the road. The rest of it's just chatter.
I don't think it matters where you are in the Low Country because you're going to pay the price for these mistakes.
Absolutely.
You're whether it's tax money, insurance, you'll be paying higher premiums. Even if you're not in a flood zone, you will be bearing the cost of this. Somebody is going to have to pay this, whether it's FEMA or your tax money to support FEMA to pay out these claims for these houses that should have never been built.
Absolutely.
Well, FEMA paid the city of Charleston, $3.5 million to buy out a subdivision west of Ashley that was flooded? So that's
But that was the tip of the iceberg.
That's costing everybody in the nation.
Right, everybody.
Yes, but we should not be responsible in Charleston for paying for building code violations that might be going on in California.
And we need so much. We need so much with our schools, our roads, our infrastructure is pitiful. And so to put this on top of that, this is money that could have gone to parks or playgrounds or roads
and to continue it.
Today,
building codes are not optional.
Thursday, I got a call and say, I want you to come by my house. They're building by my house and they're actually dumping fill into standing water. And I didn't believe them. I went and looked, and sure enough, they were backing dump trucks and dumping into standing water.
And it hasn't rained in how long? So that standing water is way low compared to what it's going to be.
We had rain the week after Hurricane Florence.
But what if we had gotten Irma, where it was projected to hit us? Hypothetically, it was projected to hit us.
What if we got Hugo again?
What if we got Hugo
or Hurricane Michael?
So, it's criminal.
It's criminal, and I think that it does affect all of us. I don't live on Shoreham Road anymore. Will never live. Now I live in an elevated house. I will be okay, but there will be people in this town that will not be okay, and are currently children.
And I'm sure it was a financial hardship for you, but you're going to survive. There are people that can't afford
There
to
are
move,
people that can't afford to
and they're
move.
living in.
There are old people, but we are doing things in this town that it's not rocket science. I drive by developments on James Island that are being built, and while they're being built, it's flooding in their garages. What are we doing here?
Charleston was such a great place, the geographically and the people and everything, and what we've created is such a less desirable product.
But why? What is the motivation?
For the quick
developers, the quick
greed.
buck.
If you read all of these plans, they all talk about a central place. They all talk about how marvelous Charleston is. And then the very organizations that put these plans together, the city of Charleston and the county of Charleston, turn their backs on it. You know, the mayor at a city council meeting says, yeah, I went back and I pulled out the Jones Island Growth Management Plan, the community plan, and I dusted it off. It'd been on the shelf for a long time. And then he turned to the planning commission and says, y'all use this plan? Oh, yes, sir. We use it every day.
Every day.
Yeah, maybe for
I
toilet
was
paper.
standing there and heard him say
Yeah,
that.
you heard him say it.
They don't use it the way it was meant to be used.
Well, and that,
Now, there's one thing that's going to happen before Election Day that we want people to know about. November 5th,
tomorrow,
It's huge.
tomorrow,
Huge.
Monday.
is the day we find out what FEMA's going to do with the city of Charleston.
It's the day that the city of Charleston has been cited for non-compliance issues with FEMA, and it is the day that the city has to turn over all of these documents that have been requested from FEMA and the NFIP, and that will be, in a way, I can't imagine that the city will not be found to not be compliant, because it's not compliant. I own a house that's not compliant, and so the city will be deemed as being not compliant. This may have ramifications in flood
For
risks
everybody,
for
everybody that pays FEMA may have to
Absolutely.
It could make everybody's
make
flood
everybody's
insurance go up.
rates go up because of.
It may increase the cost of flood insurance in Charleston.
Oh.
And for that, I apologize to the people who are going to have to pay that extra
This
money.
isn't your
But it
fault.
was the only way that we could get the city to react
Well, the
in
people.
any way
And
possible.
we are not the only ones that wrote letters.
And we're going to have to
FEMA.
pay. We're going to have to pay extra too. It's not
Yeah.
like we get a reward.
Right. Well, I think there'll be a class action suit against the city of Charleston for everybody that has their rates increased. I believe there will be a class action suit. I had a house west Ashland years ago that flooded several times after the city did a development, and I was promised by FEMA that if I raised this house, that I would be reimbursed for raising, and in lieu of it being out of flood zone. After 2 years of paperwork, you just give up.
Absolutely.
And they want you to give up.
But what is wrong with the vision of getting it right? Why
That's what I
can't
don't
We
understand.
have nobody in office
No leadership.
that has any vision. I probably could name on one hand the people in the city, the county, and the state legislature that have a vision for this city.
I
That's
just
why.
looked at houses built in Hilton Head and Daytona Beach, Florida, and Jacksonville, Florida, and South Florida. Those houses are so well built. And they're cheaper than what is being built on Johns Island.
Sure. So Randall, it's there are textbooks. There are books on how to do it. It's not like this is something brand new. Okay.
Let's buy one of those and send it to John Tecklenburg.
Right. Designed for. I don't know if you can read it.
Oh,
It might be
Wow.
too technical. But then there are other
Too
books.
technical for
there are other
Tecklenburg.
books that
Too
describe.
one term tech.
These are the things that describe what's going on. There's the Lorax. Someone's got to care, right?
Maybe we should
Till
send that
people
one.
care because. And then there's my favorite, Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tales and the Emperor's New Clothes. What we've got right here is an emperor without new clothes.
Do you think they know, or
I think they don't care.
and they don't care, or do you think they're listening to? Sometimes I get the feeling John Tecklenburg's listening to people, and he's taking their advice, and he's taking bad advice.
Sometimes I get the feeling John Tecklenburg's in over his head.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But he is the mayor, and the buck stops there. And
Exactly.
if there
But
are
one thing,
violations in your city, you're the mayor. Clean it up.
Wednesday, November 7th, we need to all, and even the ones of us that don't live in Charleston, in the city of Charleston, we need to sit down, we need to start thinking who we want to see run for mayor in 2019.
That's right.
Who we want to see run for the district that covers parts of Johns Island. There's already a couple people stood up and said they're going to run, but we need to vet them. We need to make sure they're going to care. We're going to need to make sure they can read that book and understand what the heck it says.
In the next 2 years, my advice for John Teffenberg is take
1 year.
responsibility. 1 year. Take responsibility. Every time we've asked him or had a discussion, the buck gets passed. The blame is passed. It's the state. It's the county. It's the
Ted Turner says, you know, on his desk.
lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way.
That's right.
And
Exactly. That's
so
what we need to do. Everyone that's on city council right now, they're incompetent.
when you run for office, you have an obligation, like you said, to protect and to serve the people.
How about the ones on county council? Because that's what we need to be thinking about over
We
the
got
next
people
36 hours.
We got people on county council that are pushing to build 526 so they can develop their 1,000 acres of property.
That's 742.
742
That's the.
But it was rezoned legally and ethically and above board, right?
In the back room.
In the back room of Joe Riley's. That's right.
On that note, I don't want to talk about what goes on in Joe Riley's back room, but people, remember, get out and vote Tuesday. If vote early, vote often, or if you can get to the polls, get there. If you can't, get your friends to take you there. Carter is providing bus service to people to get to the polls. As I said the other day, go on Johns Island United. If you live on Johns Island, ask for a ride to the polls. Plenty of people will be happy to get you there. Get out and vote.
We can make a difference. We can make a change, and we have one person running that seems to be serious about stopping this foolishness.
Well, let's go ahead. Joe Boykin. I mean, Randall and I are not personally endorsing people on the show, or the show's not endorsing people. Joe Boykin's running, and I think he's going to be a good addition to county council, and we're looking forward to working with him on county council.
You know, I'll say one thing about Joe. He's been an inspector. He's been a crime inspector. He knows the difference between facts.
ATF, SLED, you name it.
And the difference between what's a fact and what's an opinion. Right now, we got too many people with just opinions, and they don't understand, or don't want to understand, or don't want to even believe that there's such things as facts.
Right.
And that's what's gotten us into this trouble. Let's
Well,
save money over that in a bit.
What would county council do if somebody in law enforcement ends up on council?
Well, let's hope by Tuesday night, about this time Tuesday night, we'll know what they're going to do. Well, Anna, Bill, thank y'all for being here with us tonight, and
Yes, thank you.
congratulations on being the first guest to the Thomas and Randall Show.
And on your Emmy,
And on Emmy.
Oh, watch Chasing Coral.
Chasing Coral.
Chasing Coral.